Hello, this is Sarita, and I'm here to help you understand the truth about who you are. So what I wanted to share with you today was a really interesting and pretty powerful technique, which will show you how to basically, at will, increase the frequency of your biofield from 3D to 5D. I'm calling it 3D to 5D, but basically it's how to increase your frequency. And it's a technique that I shared with my meditation class a couple of months ago. And it's a technique that I've been playing with off and on. And it's quite extraordinary, actually. And you can really, really feel the difference. And so what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how this technique works, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use the technique to delete any trauma which is in your biofield or in your body or in your mind or your emotions. So it's just such a cool technique, and it's so simple, but what it really does require is it requires an absolute force of your own willpower to choose how you are, basically, and who you are. So what I've been doing with this technique, I've been playing with this technique off and on, and what I do is I literally sit in meditation and I feel into my biofield. Now, if you don't know what the biofield is, it's the electromagnetic field around your body, okay? And I'll put a picture of it up now. And basically, the biofield contains all of the information about you, basically. It's like the field of your reality, the information field of your reality. And obviously your body is within that, bearing in mind your body is energy. And so whenever you're interacting with anyone, what you're really doing is you're really speaking to one another's biofields, and you're seeing information from one another's biofields. And in this realm, we think we're seeing information about our 3D bodies, you know, our physical bodies, but actually you're picking up most of your information through your 6th and 7th sense about who that person is and what's going on with them through their biofield. And for example, the way that we catch viruses and disease is from information through the biofield. It's got nothing to do with your physical body. Your physical body is your dense matter, which is an expression of what is coming in and through the biofield, basically. So if someone else is feeling unwell and your biofields meet and then they entangle, because we're a collective empathic species, you can pick up information about their illness from their biofield, pull it into yours, and then you start to download that into your physical form and it starts to manifest. So we're picking up information through our biofields all of the time. And our biofields hold, you know, everything in a way you've ever done, thought, said, or felt. And it's also holding all of the information from all of the entanglement you've ever had with anybody else as well. And if you've been traumatized, that information is being held in your biofield. So everything about you is held in your biofield. And so really, if we want to clear trauma, we need to do it on all of the levels of our being within the biofield. So that would be on your spiritual level, your energetic level, your emotional, your mental, and your physical levels. We hold trauma and we hold information on all different levels. And the size of your biofield is very much dependent on how much inner work you've done, how clean and clear you are energetically, and how big your heart center is, how much efficacy your heart center is working with, or your heart. And the HeartMath Institute has done studies because they can, they've got equipment that can see people's biofields and measure them. And basically, if you are clean and clear and in a state of gratitude, and what happens is your biofield is more likely to be bigger. And then if you're in a state of fear, your biofield is constricted and condensed. So basically, the more open-hearted you are, the bigger your biofield, and the more close-hearted and fearful you are, the smaller your biofield. But the fact of the matter is, our biofield is changing and morphing all of the time in every now moment. And we have the capacity to affect change within our biofields in terms of its size. And that's what I do in my consciousness technology series, because what I do is I work with other people and we consciously make our biofields enormous, bigger than the entire planet. And then we work from that open-hearted state on all of the energies within us in relationship as the microcosm to the earth, the macrocosm. So you can change your biofield. And what this meditation, this technique is going to do is teach you to increase your resonant frequency of your biofield to a frequency that is lighter, faster, stronger, fifth dimensional frequency. And so what you do in this process, and we're going to practice it with the meditation before we move on to removing trauma, is basically you sit and you feel your biofield. Okay, now with all meditation, sometimes this takes practice, so don't worry if you can't feel your biofield immediately, but probably if you're on this channel, you're pretty well practiced and you're going to be able to feel your biofield. So you sit, you quieten the mind, and you begin to feel into your biofield, and you feel the size of your biofield and kind of all of the energy within it and your body within that as energy. Okay, and then what you do is you choose, using all of your will, to turn up the frequency of your biofield. And the simplest way to do this is to imagine as if you're turning it up like a radio station. You're trying to retune it. So let's say your biofield is on 3D FM. You're tuning it to find the frequency to 5D FM or higher, but for the purposes of this, we're going from 3 to 5D. And so what happens when you do that is it's like you garner all of your will and you begin to feel your biofield tuning itself up and becoming faster, lighter, stronger. And I say to my students that if it had a sound, the sound would be, it's literally, that's what it sounds like if you're really listening. So when you start to do this, you're literally using your will and you're tuning your biofield, and you imagine your biofield tuning. And what happens is it can actually be quite uncomfortable when you start to do this, because it's a very quick process where you literally kind of, you force your biofield to become a higher frequency. And as it does so, everything's sort of moving faster and lighter and stronger. And it can be a bit sort of almost like you're hypersensitive, and it can sort of hurt a bit like, when someone puts their fingernails down a blackboard, but that's a temporary sort of energetic discomfort. So it's like you have this, and the whole thing kind of tunes, and you go through the discomfort because you've gone from density to something that's lighter and faster, and you go through that discomfort, and then you suddenly come out the other side and you feel the lightness and the strength and the really quick vibration of your biofield, and you sort of very quickly become acclimatized to that, and now you're resonating at this higher frequency. So that's the kind of process. It's almost impossible for me to describe it to you. You just have to do it and practice it, but you'll know, because you'll feel this kind of, and I've had students who literally begin to shake. Their physical body starts to shake, and it can be a bit scary, but just stay with it and trust your body, your being, your process, and your will. Trust who you are. You're an electromagnetic, multi-dimensional being, and trust that your body knows what it's doing. So basically what we're going to do in this meditation is we're going to practice tuning the biofield a few times, so you've got the technique. Okay, and I really encourage you to go and try this. It's actually just really amazing once you get the technique, how quick and easy it is. And normally when we tune our biofields, when we're manifesting or something, what we do is we We tune the biofields using frequencies of love, you know, things like gratitude or kindness or compassion, and that automatically elevates your frequency. But it's almost with this technique that you can just choose to switch it on. So it's really just a fascinating technique. And it really is showing me how extraordinarily powerful we are, and that we just have to choose something, and it is. That's how powerful you are. You are creator consciousness in expression. So, sorry, I keep going off on one because it's so exciting. So basically, we're going to practice tuning the biofield. And then what we're going to do is we're then going to feel in 3D the different layers of our biofield. So the spiritual layer first, then the energetic layer, then the emotional, then the mental, then the physical layer. And we finish with the physical because it's the most dense layer to tune. Okay, think about it. Your physical matter is it's dense. That's why it's expressed as matter. Whether obviously your spiritual layer is lighter. We don't see the spiritual layer. It's not condensed like matter is. So what we're going to do once we've practiced is we're going to feel into the biofield and then feel into the spiritual layer of our biofield. Now, for ease sake, you can imagine the layers of your biofield like this, getting closer and closer and closer to your body: spiritual, energetic, emotional, mental, physical. But in actual fact, it's much more complicated than that. It's actually a matrix kind of web, which is, it's just all completely entangled within you, all of these layers of your biofield. But for purposes of this meditation, it's easier to think of them in layers. Okay, so we're going to go into the spiritual layer of our biofield, and we're going to feel into that layer, and we're going to ask to see any trauma in that layer. Now, trauma, you might see it or feel it or perceive it as an actual event, or it might just look like a flicker or a light or a blob, or I don't know how you're going to see it, because obviously human beings work with metaphor. Our whole reality is kind of a metaphor, if you like. So however you perceive the trauma in the spiritual layer is absolutely fine. So you're just going to see it there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn the volume up from 3D to 5D. And as it turns up, that lighter, faster, higher frequency is just going to delete the trauma. There's nothing that you have to do to delete the trauma except turn the volume up. So that's literally all you're going to do. You're going to turn the volume up, go through the discomfort, and using your intention, your will, your attention, it's just going to remove the trauma. Okay, and it doesn't matter if you don't see the trauma being removed. It's like your intention and the tuning is doing it for you. So there's nothing else that you need to do. And then we're going to move down to the energetic layer. Again, ask to see or feel the trauma. And then we're going to turn the biofield up, and it will automatically delete the trauma. So that's what we're going to do in this. It's not even a meditation, really. It's more of like an exercise. It's like a willful, energetic exercise. And don't worry if you don't see or perceive something immediately. It's a practice. Like all of meditation, the more you practice, the more you start working with those very sensitive 6 and 7 senses, and you begin to perceive much more of the visible light spectrum of this reality. You begin to open your awareness. So it's just practice. And if you don't see or feel anything in the beginning, don't worry, just keep practicing, and eventually you will. So I hope that all makes sense. And without further ado, let's do it. So let go of everything that I've just said. I want you to take a breath in, a breath out, and close your eyes. Okay. Feel the darkness all around you. And just follow your breath for a few minutes and allow your breath to center you inside your body. So as you breathe in, follow your breath down into your body so that the breath lands you inside yourself. And as you breathe out, follow the breath as it leaves your body. Every in breath anchoring you inside yourself. And you're becoming more and more present with every breath. More and more still with every breath. And more embodied with every breath. Okay, great. So now what I want you to do is you're going to set your intention to feel your biofield. And you're going to take your awareness beyond your body and allow yourself to feel this biofield that is all around you and that you are encapsulated within. Tapping into the consciousness of it. And as you roam your awareness around your body, see if you can feel into the edges of your biofield. So you get an idea of how big it is. See if there are any colors in there. Remembering all the while that this is a practice. You're just playing with it to see what you can see or feel. See if you can sense any motion or vibration. And try and work out what the general frequency of this biofield is, how heavy or light it is, how clear or dense it is. Does it feel good or not? Noticing the quality of your biofield. Okay, and what I want you to do now is, using all of your will, absolute focused concentration, you are going to turn the frequency up of your biofield to a lighter, faster, higher frequency. And I'm going to leave you for about 3 minutes to do this. So you're using all of your will and you're turning the frequency up of your whole biofield. Off you go. Feel the frequency getting lighter, faster, sharper. And as your frequency rises, if it's not too distracting, move your awareness around the biofield and just feel into what is going on. Okay, so just pause, and in this pause, just kind of loosen your hold on that high frequency a bit, and so that it's not so intense for your concentration. So you're kind of letting that concentration go. And I want you to now set your intention to go into the spiritual layer of your biofield. So it might appear as an actual layer to you, or it might be a sort of felt sense. Tapping into the spiritual layer of your biofield. Just exploring, really. What does this layer feel like? What does it look like? And you're now going to allow any trauma, which is essentially resistance, that you have on a spiritual level to rise up and make itself known to you within your biofield in some way. So you're literally calling the trauma to reveal itself to you. And it might be an image, might be a color, a shape, might be everywhere, it might be a sense of density. Whatever it is, just let it rise up and show itself to you. The trauma you are holding on a spiritual level within your biofield. Just observe it. And what you're going to do now is you're going to cleanse, clear, integrate this trauma by turning up, tuning up the spiritual layer of your biofield to a higher frequency using all of your will. So you're not trying to change the trauma, you're just turning the frequency of this layer up. Using all of your will, off you go. And you might feel a surge of bliss or joy. As your trauma naturally aligns to this higher frequency. Lighter, faster. But don't worry if you don't feel anything, you're just practicing. Now just notice what's happened. No judgment. And you're now going to pause and relax this concentration. Just let yourself relax a little bit while still being aware of your biofield. That spiritual layer, just relaxing your concentration a bit. And you're now going to set an intention to go into the energetic layer of your biofield. Feeling into that layer. And you are very simply going to allow any trauma that you are holding within this energetic layer of your biofield to reveal itself to you in some way. Just allowing yourself to see all the details of this trauma. And now using your absolute focused will, you are going to turn the frequency up on this energetic layer of your biofield, making it lighter and brighter and faster, and just seeing what happens as you do so. So really focusing your will, increasing your frequency. Off you go. And just noticing what happens to the trauma as you reach this higher frequency. If anything, just observing. And now just relaxing your focus a bit. Doing great. So you're now going to set your intention to feel your way into the emotional layer of your biofield. Allowing the details of it to be felt, seen by you. And now choosing that all of the trauma within this emotional layer reveals itself to you now. And now using your absolute focused will, you are going to turn up the frequency of your emotional layer so that it is faster and lighter. Off you go. And noticing what happens to the trauma as you reach a higher frequency. And now just relaxing a bit with your focus, pausing. You're now going to hold the intention to go into the mental layer of your biofield, feeling your way into that. And allowing, inviting, or even commanding the trauma you are holding within the mental layer of your biofield to reveal itself to you. And now, using your absolute willpower and focus, you are going to tune your mental layer to a higher frequency, faster and lighter. Off you go. And now seeing how the trauma within this layer is affected by the increase in frequency, noticing what's going on. And pausing, relaxing your focus for a moment. Now you're going to go into the physical layer of your biofield, your physical body. Feeling your way into this physicality of you. And now you are going to allow, invite or command any trauma you are holding in your physical layer to show itself to you. And now using all of your will, absolute focus, willpower, you are going to tune this physical layer to a higher resonant frequency that is faster and lighter. Off you go. And as you arrive at this higher frequency, noticing what happens to the trauma, if anything. And pausing, releasing your concentration a tiny bit. Now I'm going to bring your awareness back to your whole biofield with all the layers in it as one biofield: physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual field all around you. Just take a few moments to observe how you feel, what's left in there or not. Maybe if there are any remnants of trauma, you could play with increasing the frequency of the whole field
a little higher as you wish. A couple of minutes to just see with and play with the energy that is in here, your resonant frequency. And then very gently allowing yourself to feel your body in the chair you are in. Grounding yourself back down. Feeling yourself coming back into the room very slowly and opening your eyes.